The Yoga Sutras consist of 196 short little sentences composed by Patanjali and maybe also some other yogic masters before him, after him. Certainly he took many ideas from prior yoga masters, and maybe the text was, there were several great yoga masters after him, and they also might have added some, changed the text a little bit. Some scholars today believe that up to the 4th century the text was revised a few times. But what it does is that it systematically presents the view of yoga from the Sankhya perspective, which was a very alive tradition at the time of Patanjali up to the 8th century of India, up to the 8th century in India. So what the Yoga Sutras are is really the theoretical aspect, the whole picture in which the practice of asana was meaningful for those masters who developed the practice of asana. The whole, it presents us the whole picture, the whole context in which the practice of asana was meaningful for them. The potential of asana practice is tremendous. But if we don't understand the whole context, we might end up driving our aeroplane from one village to another village, just to use it as a bus, like a bus, to drive from one village. For me, if we are using asana just to have a healthy human body and to have a good, well-shaped human body, this is akin to driving an aeroplane from one village to another village and just using your aeroplane just for that much, when the actual potential of the aeroplane is in fact is to take off and show you so much. The whole area, the whole country can be covered by it. So by that what I mean, the actual potential of yoga is not only to make us healthy and beautiful on a physical level, but to make us healthy and beautiful on an emotional level, to make us healthy and beautiful on a psychological level. If our practice remains completely physical in nature at all, which means we just derive physical benefits from it, then we are deriving very little bit from the actual benefits that are there in yoga. So the Yoga Sutras again give us the whole context in which we can, through our asana practice, we can not only evolve a beautiful and healthy human body, but also a beautiful and healthy emotional state, a beautiful and healthy mind, by which I mean thoughts, all that. So that is what I see. That is one thing. And the second thing, why it is important, it's very simple. If I put someone into a lab of chemistry, into a chemistry laboratory, without teaching that person anything about chemistry, what will he do? What would he know what to do? He might just start mixing things and maybe try out few things, and maybe by chance he even discovers a few tiny little truths about chemical principles. But what about the vast science of chemistry? For that, both are required, the theoretical aspect as well as the practical aspect. So if asana, pranayama are the practical aspect, Yoga Sutras try to provide the overall context, the overall theoretical aspect. And that is why Patanjali emphasizes so much on Swadhyaya, self-study. He says, that's why he says that through Swadhyaya, through self-study, one can go deeper into yoga, and which means into the practical aspects of yoga. And by going deeper into the practical aspects of yoga, someone can then go deeper into his understanding of the theoretical aspects. It's the same like in, you first study some chemistry, you practically experiment it. That deepens your understanding of the theory. And the deeper you understand your theory, the better experiments you can make in you. The more usefully you can push the frontier of ignorance further and further away from. So both are deeply required. Practice as well as theory. Patanjali's yoga philosophy presents that complete context, theoretical aspect for our practice, which then we can use our practice to experiment that. That is how I see it. I always see the yoga mat as a small little space for test drive. When I started learning to drive, my teacher took me to a space, safe space, where he could make me sit behind the steering wheel and start just driving, because I don't have to worry about hitting anything. For me, the yoga mat is like that safe space in which I can start experimenting, I can start testing out my potential, in which I can start testing out what I'm capable of without worrying how it will affect others or how it will affect my life. But slowly and slowly, once a level of confidence has been evolved, then everything that we learn from yoga has to be applied in our daily life. So the principles such as non-violence, the principle of friendliness, the principle of truthfulness, the principle of giving up more and more the sense of possessiveness, these are deeply self-transformative principles. Talking about them is easy. Bringing them, introducing them into one's life is very difficult, but the practice of yoga gives us that strength and makes it easier for us. This is how I see it. This is how I see yoga, first of all, by showing me the path of how to become a human being, not because there is a God up there who wants me to be a nice human being, because if I'm not a nice human being, he will send me into the hell, and if I'm a nice human being, then he will reward me by sending me into heaven. Not that. That is a kind of nobility, a kind of goodness that is just skin deep. Scratch it away, and what yoga gives is a goodness, a nobility from within, independent from not. I often see that a good idea, if it is suppressed, imposed on someone, it can cause damage. A good idea should come from within. The desire to be good, the desire to be a nice person, and the effort to be a nice person has to come from within. And I think yoga, rather than imposing goodness on us, really inspires, first of all, the desire to be a good person, and then also shows us the path, gives us the strength to be a good person in the difficult, challenging moments. That is what I see as the practical application. In this way, sort of yoga then starts to permeate every aspect of our life. In any case, the level of energy, the level of positivity, the level of lightness which we evolve as a result of even just a simple asana practice, which we do early in the morning, transforms our whole day. We are positive, even if, say, I have problems with the income tax or with the government or whatever. I have hundreds of worries. If in the morning I can just get rid of everything and spend a few moments in my asana practice, be charged for the whole day, then I'm ready to fight. To fight in the sense, in a non-violent sense, to take upon challenges with some inner strength, inner goodness, inner positivity. So in this way, yoga really helps me to prepare myself for the tasks of the day. It is part of the way. Before I go to the office, I have to groom myself, I have to wash myself, clean up myself, iron my clothes, so that I completely prepare. For me, yoga is part of that. And it can be applied to anything. This positivity, whatever, whether we have to take difficult discussions as a head of a government or in the boardrooms of directors or whatever, I think that positivity can be used everywhere. Even a taxi driver, he will drive more peacefully through the traffic. He will be more settled on his seat. Less possibility, he will be more focused. Less possibility of having an accident. And he will benefit. Everybody can benefit tremendously from this outlook, from this practice. It's for everybody. That's the idea.